Your hosts are The Great Order and No White Guilt. And this is the after party. The crown winner of last week is Ascended Practitioner, who financially gifted 50 US dollars. What an absolute champion. Thank you so much, dear brother. And a big whopping congratulations to you. In second place was both Slots and Yiz, both financially gifting $10 a piece. Thank you both so very much, and congratulations as well. You may financially gift on Entropy at a cost of 15% to you, which goes to the good people over there. That stream will be up and running in just a moment. You will also be able to ask questions and pose your remarks, and we're going to be doing some crowdsourcing today, so be prepared to participate. You can do that over on the question widget, also known as the Tall Kevin widget on Entropy. You may also financially gift on Cash App. That link, as well as Entropy, are in the description below. Jared and I evenly share the financial gifts here on the after party with our guests. Now, today we are highlighting several community members, activities, and experiences with Going Free. And we're doing that on tap today, as well as crowdsourcing some ideas. And Jared will be telling you about that in just a moment. But you will hear from the heroes, Brand Danger, Roi Danton, Greymond The Grey, and Jerome. Not necessarily in that order. But Mr. George, I pass it over to you to take us into the festivities.
All right. Hello, everybody. So Jason and I have been talking, and we want to expand the after party. So it's going to remain everything that you know it to be, where we interview some of our content creators and activists. And especially when they appear for the first time, we try to make it one of the most in-depth places, one of the most in-depth interviews you will find on someone's story and how they got here. So none of that is changing, of course, but we want to just add, we just want to flesh out and do more. Some things we've a little more intentional about it, and we want all of you to help us do this. So as Jason said, it's a very community kind of thing. And we want to do these shows. This is one such show. Being told my volume's a little loud, I'm going to knock it down just a tad and let us know how the audio is. But this is a show where we're going to do this type of show every so often, where it's a community spotlight, because we've always strongly felt, and obviously Jason has done this for a while in his way on the Going Free streams on Sunday, that it's not just about content creators, as wonderful as it is that there's many people who stream, make video content, do other kinds of activism. There's a lot of people doing other kinds of things that maybe it doesn't lend itself towards a kind of interviewing one person for an hour or 2 hours kind of thing. But we want to give you all a chance to hear what we all are doing. So this is part community spotlight. So we, as we said, Jason mentioned, we have 4 of our moderators and friends who are here to talk a little bit about what they do behind the scenes, just big and small things. And if nothing else, it's fun and a nice kind of camaraderie thing, fellowship thing for us to be on together. But the other part of the show is crowdsourcing, where kind of punctuated in between these little conversations we're going to have with the 4 gentlemen mentioned. We also want to get your ideas about kinds of people that you want to see on the show. So I'll mention this again maybe further in when we have some more people joining us. Please do share on social media right now. But I'll give you an idea of the kinds of people that I mean. And of course, if you reach out to these people, you comment on Twitter or YouTube or elsewhere, please, of course, represent yourself and represent this community in the best light. So here's a few ideas. Some people who are closer to what we do and some people who are a little further away. So some people that might be a little closer, say like Matt Christensen and Blonde and Belly of the Beast. You know, we've spoken to her a little bit behind the scenes, but I know she kind of took a break. She's a mom, beautiful thing, but now she's back and streaming. They have a big platform. Matt has a really big show. It tends probably a little more towards the MAGA conservative type here in the States. but that's exactly the kind of people that we want to speak to more. Styx, obviously, has been on Red Ice, so he's not too far out from the circle either. What caught my attention, I told Jason a couple of weeks ago, is his thing came up on my feed, and I saw he did a video where he even posited, he made an argument that you could say that European peoples are indigenous peoples in North America. So the fact that he's willing to say something like that, pretty interesting. Then we have, going a little further out, we have some people, I'll just mention these names, doesn't necessarily have to be these people, but just to give you an idea, there's a woman, Karlin Borisenko, and there's a gentleman, Benjamin Boyce. Both of them have good follow viewership. But what's interesting about them is they describe themselves as former leftists. I guess to some degree they were in that anti-white paradigm. Now they've woken up from it. They have their different takes on it. Karlin, I know in particular, is very vocal about being against critical race theory, and she's actually being very active about that and has a great platform. So that's someone, those are people who are a little further out from the kinds of people that we usually speak to. But whether, again, it's them or someone else, that they represent the kind of people that we might want to be speaking to. Obviously, Jason already did this tremendous job. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through it, but if you have not heard the news of the world yet, on the Jeffrey Daugherty show in the Heartland, Jason was on a couple nights ago, and Jason, I have to join the people who have been saying, you're always articulate. We know that you've put it, because you've put in the work for years. You've worked things out, so when you get on a show, you're fluent. You know what you need to say. You've tested it. But you have also just firing on this show. When you were on with Jeffrey Daugherty, and this guy he claims across his different platforms, 250,000 followers. I know he has 50,000 YouTube subscribers. He speaks about a whole variety of things, some of it political, some of it ventures into what might be called alternative news kind of stuff. But he was very open-minded and gave Jason a platform. And Jason just represented us and everything we do here and himself so well. When you see something like that, if you can go comment on that, because I can guarantee you there are people in that gentleman's audience who are processing right now in the days following that interview. They're processing the kinds of things Jason presented. Maybe it was the first time they heard it, or the first time they heard it certainly from someone who represents himself well, with honor, with virtue, with dignity, with respect, the way that Jason does. And they don't know what to do. And it's going to help them the more they see that social proof that other people are out there in the comments supporting what Jason does, or saying, hey, I listened to the show. It's a wonderful community. Come and check it out. The more it's going to help us spread this message, help wake people up, help people to go free. So that is something amazing as well. Here's another quick idea. And again, I don't want to take up too much time from our friends who are going to join us in a moment, but I'm just kind of setting the table now to get all of your noggins jogging, and let us know in the chat what you think, or some good names. I'm going to be keeping a tab here, a list of some names, and then Jason and I will follow up. But just a couple more ideas. I know a lot of people kind of complain, it's this joke that there are these obvious funnels. There are these silos we're trying to put in. So when you see material like ours or some of our friends, what do we hear a lot? Jordan Peterson videos. Still, YouTube's doing this trick after a couple of years come up. Well, maybe go to a Jordan Peterson video, or go to Epoch Times, is a new, more conservative type alternative news source. They're a little more down the middle, a little more what we would still consider mainstream. I saw them retweet something from Jordan Peterson. Well, go to the video on YouTube, or go to the tweet, in this case from the Epoch Times, and say, Jason spoke, someone I know, Jason Köhne, spoke about this here, connect two things. He was on the Jeffrey Daugherty show the other night. Maybe put the link there and something like that. And then one more thing, I said, going even further out, we're not averse to people, of course, who have different ideas than us, and using this platform sometimes for debate. So perhaps I would more often be in the moderator role. I certainly have my perspectives and things to say, and if it's the right kind of person, maybe I would debate, but I have more of an artist's mind. And again, Jason has spent decades perfecting this. So clearly, in many cases, when it comes to kind of a social and political, what you would think of as a debate in these circles, most of the times, it probably makes sense for Jason to be the debater. And if someone came here and trusted me, even though I'm friends and associates with Jason, I would play the role of moderator. But there's a guy, for example, Jared Yates Sexton. I don't know where my reply went. I can't find it. But he does not like our kind of thing. And he said Tucker Carlson, he tweeted out Tucker Carlson he's stoking evil and all these buzzwords, all these anti-white buzzwords. And he wrote a whole book about it. And he's saying how pointing this stuff out in America is going to lead to the kinds of ugly things that happened in Europe last century. And I respectfully said, my friend here, Jason No White Guilt, has a different perspective. He actually thinks it's incumbent upon peoples of European descent, morally on us to defend ourselves as a people. And I'd be happy to moderate a debate between you. As I said, I hadn't heard it. When I went to my tweet list, I didn't even see it there for some reason. I don't know why. I went to his account. He hasn't blocked me, but it is another Jared Yates Sexton. But that's just one example. Again, whether it's him or someone else, he wrote a book. He has a very different perspective than we do, but maybe we would be able to kind of show you, especially Jason's skills, how that works in real time. And some of his audience, I'm sure, would check it out. Maybe it would convert some people. So we want to, again, we're going to keep seeing the wonderful interviews you've seen on tap, but everything I've just said for the last several minutes, we want to expand this as well. We need to keep growing. And we're very excited about everything going on. And we know that there are a lot of people out there. You know this too. There are a lot of people out there who are looking for answers. And we don't want them to end up going down blind alleys or going and listening to people who are going to lead them astray. We want them here in a loving, positive, forward-looking community. So we'll return to that, but just stew with that as we bring people on. And let us know in the chat. I'm going to try to keep my eye more on the chat today. As I said, take some notes about your suggestions, who to reach out to. If you're active in other circles, Yiz is a great example. Yiz is active in other circles, and she actually is helping with something. We won't say who, because some of you might know the names, but we'll leave it a surprise maybe for later after the show. But case in point, next week, Jason and I are welcoming next Friday 2 guys from the MAGA sphere, the American Groyper sphere, more in that kind of tip. So we're already doing it. You could see it's already happening with the interview Jason did the other night, having Lauren Witzke on Going Free a couple of weeks ago. Already moving in this direction. We didn't want to hesitate, wanted to jump right in, wanted to make 2021 a little different. So there it is. That's the crowdsourcing aspect. Without any further ado, we look forward to your suggestions. But as mentioned, this is also Community Spotlight, and we want to just have some fun and hang out with the wonderful people here. So, Jason, who do we have first to welcome? I believe you are muted.
I am indeed. We have the great Greymond The Grey on in just a moment. I just want to underscore what you just said, and it's a brilliant idea. The thread over on Jeffrey Doherty's show, and you can find this in my tweets. You can find where the show was, Facebook, all the different links. Go over there and write it on the thread, something normal, something don't make it obvious that you're speaking to the people that you know you're speaking to, but speak to them nonetheless. So they're going to be going there. They're going to be, Jared's making a great point. They're going to be reading that thread and wondering, well, should we find out any more about this going free business, about white well-being? And it might be your comment that brings that person over, and who knows the change that you'll make in their life, and the cause, the service to white well-being that we are practicing here in Go Free. The other thing I just wanted to also mention is, if you have recommendations, as Jared mentioned too, because we're doing crowdsourcing here, I mentioned a moment ago, we're doing crowdsourcing. We're looking for MAGA people, and don't and even oppositional, so people, anti-whites who would call themselves leftists or woke, or who might speak to us. Jared gave a name for that. Don't only, if you will, please, it'd be great. Don't just put the recommendation on the live feed. Also put it down in the thread under the video, so that it also will be easy for us to find there. But don't, when you look for these people and you want to make a recommendation about who you might want to see us speak to, please don't recommend somebody with like 50 million followers. They're not going to respond to us. I mean, that's just useless. So if you have people with audiences that are obviously there are a couple things in play here, but audiences that are around our size, a little smaller, a little bigger. If you find somebody with a much larger audience, but they seem to be receptive and they will respond to people's comments, then maybe somebody like that as well. But we're looking on having some more fun and fireworks as the rest of the year rolls on here on Tap. And what we're going to be doing for the rest of, we'll still be working this crowdsourcing and ideas in with you all, and what you thought about the idea, the names of some of the people that Jared just mentioned as well. But we're going to be doing that throughout the show. But we're going to be bringing on these champions for roughly 10 or so minutes a piece. They're going to be bungeeing in. They're going to be telling us about their activities, maybe some of their activities in service to White Wellbeing, their experiences with going free, and just an opportunity to spotlight some of the magnificent people who are making it happen on a day-to-day basis. And their faces might not be out there, but they are, you don't have to suffer their face like you have to suffer mine, but they are nonetheless making the entirety of the machine and of service to White Wellbeing work, changing their lives, changing the lives of those around them, bringing folks over. So having said that, we're going to bring over one of our greatest. We're going to bring him out from behind the curtain right now, the one and only Greymond the Grey. And there he is. Hello, good sir. You will have to click the unmute button so that we will be able to hear you. There you are.
I got you. How's my audio?
It could be a little louder, but I can also turn you up some.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. I've never used this before.
No worries. I'll take care of it on my end.
Sounded pretty good. We are joined by a veritable wizard today, and I want to thank you personally. I know you haven't been on a show like this before, but we've communicated a lot. Just how unbelievably supportive you've been, and such a key part of the moderator team. So we need to celebrate you. And it just always warms my heart to see you and Heidi in the chat. So thank you for being here, and thank you for all that you do.
Well, thank you guys for all that you do. And for me, I'm a little bit nervous. I've never actually spoken publicly, so this is kind of new for me. But I also
I get it. I
think telling the story is important. And what going free has done for me and my family. It's been absolutely amazing. 3 years ago when I found you guys.
Sorry, Ray, before you go on, Jason,
ahead.
I'm hearing a little distortion. Are you hearing that too?
Yeah, it might just be coming from the connection, but I will see what I can do. Go ahead, Ray. Continue where you were.
I know that happens sometimes when it's a little too loud. I don't know if you put them up too high.
Let me see. You can continue, Ray.
Okay. Well, I was just saying, when I found you guys, 3 years ago, I was really angry and I was depressed, and my marriage was on the brink of destruction. I was really heading down that dark path. Heidi had actually filed for a divorce at that time because I was so angry, and since learning the lexicon and since concentrating on my people and love of my people, helped ease that depression, that anger. My marriage has never been more solid. My wife and I are looking at purchasing another house for a better location, So it has definitely saved my marriage and my family, And
wow.
And the work I do, being able to moderate, I'm known in this neighborhood as the anti-white slur racist, And a lot of the neighbors didn't really speak to me too much. And instead of applying your lexicon and using the way that you speak to people, I built a community with all of my neighbors. We're all friends. We help one another out. We passed out books to all of our local neighbors. We talk about going free. We talk about the promotion. I use the lexicon. Even with one of our black neighbors, and she was very open to it as well. So it's been working fantastic for us. I think we've given out about 10 books now in the neighborhood and to local people. And I've got one that's going to be going in the mail to a person in Oregon. And then all of my social media accounts have been as of yesterday, but I had a reach of about 5,000 that I was sharing
Wow.
with now around there. So they nuked all my Facebook accounts and Twitter accounts at this point. So, but I'm going to start over and continue to fight.
Well, there you go, brother. And I'm going to reiterate, because we do have a little bit of static coming over your line. Not your fault at all. It's the kind of thing that occasionally happens with the text.
But we heard everything.
Don't sweat it. We heard everything. I just want to reiterate that you said that going free saved your life and your marriage, and you were looking to file divorce. You were, and now instead you're going the opposite direction. The family's getting better, the life's getting better, the marriage is getting better, the neighborhood is getting better. Even a non-white neighbor, you've been able to bring in to with the verbiage and lexicon of going free. That is just truly remarkable. What a reversal. And he said also, folks, and I hope you caught it, that it was his entire focus changed from where he was, where the great Greymond the Grey was, to refocusing on our people and the love, hope, and redemption of our people, and finding that indeed was where his journey started, and starting again at that place and moving forward now with that love and that positive energy, because that's what white positivity is all about, is that positive energy. You're not going to bring in, you're not going to do any good with all this negative energy. It's amazing that so many people think that you end up so misled, and it's only because of the inertia of the anti-white narrative. It grabs hold of you, and it practically throttles you, grabs you around the neck, and then drags you down this very ugly path of negativity. And this at a time when we're seeing now a great piece of news, and I'll just say this, and then we'll get Ray's final thoughts that he'd want to share with us. And I also want to laud him before I say this about this Anglo-Saxon caucus or what have you, that I am so deeply grateful, along with Mr. George, for everything that Ray has done and Heidi in service to white well-being. They are an absolutely amazing, stellar couple, a wonderful group of human beings, mother and father, husband and wife. We hope to have them around forever and ever and ever. Ray, no matter what's going on, Ray's getting onto those going free streams with the other moderators. But often I have to say, when it comes to the last, what was the saying used to be, like the last of the Mohicans or whatever. There's one moderator left standing, and I always look over there after 12 hours of going free or whatever it is, and there's Ray. Now, if I missed anybody, I know there have been times that other people certainly have been around as that many hours as well. But I don't want to downplay them, but I do want to play up the great work that Ray has done, and I'm so grateful for that. Oh, and the other thing is, I will mention, folks, there is at the top of the description a new D Live link. So if you look at the top of the description, you want to be on D Live today rather than on YouTube, click at the top of that description to head on over to the new D Live, and make sure you follow. It is Jason NWG, no spaces, over there on D Live. But I do want to say quickly that with people like Ray and Heidi, we are going to be able to take that next big step, which is being presented to us every single day. It is available to us every day, and that step is getting bigger and bigger for us. And we see it in this Anglo-Saxon caucus that is trying to be assembled. And I'm not going to speak to all of the details about it, because there's one thing that's relevant. And the one thing that's relevant, the one thing that has actual value, is that the people with money, the people who own and run businesses, the people who finance political campaigns, the people who want to see change in the world, who are behind these folks, have gotten so desperate with how anti-white everything is becoming that they are financing individuals in office to put together something like this hobbled, this decrepit thing that they're trying to assemble, called the Anglo-Saxon caucus. That means that these people are looking for answers. We need to be that answer. We need to be in front of them. The idea of an Anglo-Saxon caucus or whatever it is, it's going to fail. I'm not going to get into all the details here now because we don't have enough time. But the bottom line is the opportunity is immense. The hour is now. We have to move, and we're going to be able to do it with great people like Ray. That was Ray. Thank you so much for coming on with us and that magnificent testimonial of going free, it's saving your life, saving your marriage, looking, I think you said, to moving maybe to another location or buying an additional house or whatever it was. Please give us any of the final thoughts that you want to share with us, brother. And we're definitely going to have you on again in the future.
Well, you know, when you asked me to come on the show and I was trying to go in free, what it means to me, because I think it probably means something different to everybody. Everybody's coming from a different perspective. And for me, what it's meant is community. Because without going free, I wouldn't have been able to communicate with my neighbors and my friends and bring together this community. You know, and now we have a nice, tight little community. We have bonfires and barbecues, and it's been fantastic. And that's thanks to the lexicon, and it's thanks to the change in my attitude. Because I'm pretty sure everyone knew that I was just miserable, you know. Including myself. So just thank you guys for all that you do. Jared, we need more music, by the way.
Jared, you're muted now.
See, Ray, nothing to be nervous about. We've been doing this over 3 years, and we still make mistakes all the time. Well, yes, I am. I did purposely take a bit of a break in January. And now I started to freak out because I don't like to go back on my word. I was like, I was going to do a song roughly about once a month. And now it's been a few months. But if I get freaked out about it, it's going to make it worse. So all I'll say is no excuses. A lot of music's being worked on. And you'll hear something very soon. And then should be on a much better routine after that, trying to just juggle all this stuff. I will just say briefly that knowing you and Heidi are such a team here, and then you gave us the behind the scenes. You gave us something pretty raw there that you went through, as a lot of people do, and it's only going to make you stronger. But you went through a really challenging patch in your marriage. To know what the two of you mean to us now, to know that was in the background and that was part of this road, it just makes it even more powerful. And I mean, I got a little teary when I heard about that. You saying about that. That's how much it meant. But thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me on.
All right. It's great to speak to you. Great to hear from you. We'll speak soon.
Thanks, Ray.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye, brother.
Sure.
All right. Now we're going to jump on over. That was really amazing. We had a little bit of static, not a big deal. And I'm sure next time we have him on, we'll have that ironed out. But absolutely, Jared, what a remarkable story that was. Transformation. To anyone that knows Ray and Heidi, it's really amazing. And I've been talking to Heidi in the chat right here. And I don't know much about that caucus either, but there's a lot of talk in the chat. Obviously, we know being of European descent does not only mean Anglo-Saxon. And see, that's part of the problem. That caucus is probably, like Jason said, knowing the politics of D.C., might be angled a certain way. It does represent people looking for answers, which is good for us. We have to be there. But that doesn't mean we understand that term in its proper context, too. I don't have a problem with saying that the United States was founded by Northwestern European peoples, mainly Anglo-Saxon peoples. Constitution's written in English. A lot of our laws and civic codes and customs come from that particular culture. So in general, recognizing that is okay. But I think that there's a nuance with that actual caucus. But before we get too much into that, I believe we have another guest lined up. We do. We have the great Roi Danton. Roi will bring you forward right now. How are you doing, good brother?
Hey, can you hear me?
Beautifully. Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me on. It's such a great honor to finally be on tap for a brief moment. And yeah, it's actually been like a great week for me. I've been fairly busy because I finally booked a flight to visit my mom, and I will have about
Very
like
nice.
6 or 7 weeks even with her, because it's been a long time since I've been in Germany. Well, I thought I might actually talk a little bit about how I actually got to going free and how it started
Yes.
Please.
for me. So see, I was never really a hardcore anti-white, but I spent a large portion of my life living with those who you call like liberals,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and worked in office jobs and had these people around me. So it was quite natural. They were a little bit anti-white. And
Mhm.
then it was like I think it was late 2014, early 2015, when the migrant crisis happened. And then there was some protests forming. And
Yeah.
I was part of that in the beginning. But what really threw me off was that I talked to these people, and you pretty much had to know everything about a certain religion and a certain group of people behind that religion, and they blamed everything on that religion and said, hey, if we just like ban the religion and convert them over to Christianity, everything will be perfectly fine. And at the same time, you couldn't even talk about us being a people, because no,
Mhm.
that's bad, and they used all the anti-white slurs against anybody who would even claim that we were a people. But then I moved to the US, and then the entire Trump thing happened and the MAGA sphere. And I realized, oh, actually, it's pretty much the same thing over here. There's also this group of people who are mostly active online. And to be part of them, you also have to talk about a religion and the people behind that religion. Just it's a different religion that's older than the first one. But these people also were blaming all the faults on this group of people and the religion of these people, and said, hey, that's all our problems. And they didn't realize, no, it's actually, we invited these people in. It's us. We were so brainwashed by these meme pathogens that we did all these laws. We put all these laws in place. And then, unfortunately, all these bad things happened. Like after Charlottesville, it became pretty much impossible to talk to Wakes about pretty much anything, because they were so angry and frightened, because the media was pushing that narrative that anybody who is like a Trump supporter is like the absolute evil, and these people were really believing that. And that was around the point when I discovered going free and realized, oh, there is actually another way. There's a different way. And if I talk to people using the lexicon of going free, I'm actually making some good progress, and it actually does work. And so it has really helped me. And it's also good that we have a positive message. We are talking about us, about the love for our people. We don't blame others, but that doesn't help us. Negativity has never accomplished anything good. It's about us and about how we improve. And this year, I've actually been like little bit in the real world, since I moved to this wonderful location here in the US, which I really love very much. After having lived in a very much anti-white state for a couple of years, it's very refreshing to be around normal people. And here I can talk about pretty much everything with people. And I try to use the lexicon of going free. It really works. But one thing I realized is, especially when you're talking to these mega people who basically know about race and everything, you need to be patient with them and not come off as like being offensive and blaming them and telling them, hey, no, you are wrong. What I figured works best is like you find an example. Let's say they're using a phrase that's inside the anti-white narrative and it doesn't quite work well for them. Then you can suggest, hey, what if you use this other phrase? Maybe you can get better success using that. And that's like the approach that really worked for me. Because in the past, and especially when this January happened, I was so upset, and especially when then these nets were going a little bit crazy, and I got very upset and came off a little bit as offensive to some people. Said, "No, drop that garbage. We have to go free." So I had to adjust my strategy and learn from it. And it's really those mistakes that we do that need to happen for us to learn from.
It takes a lot of patience and practice. It's true.
Yes.
Because in the moment you want to just say, no, don't do this. I know it's not going to work. But if you try to put yourself back in the shoes of maybe when you were in a similar place, you didn't have the perspectives you currently have. You didn't have the experiences you didn't currently have. Listen to what Ray said a few moments ago. Maybe didn't feel the support and love of a community, and you were more scared, whether you want to admit it or not, and angry and want to lash out. You can take the quick hit of getting one over on someone and dismissing them or acting like you're the superior person in the moment, or you can take the more patient track. And I know it's tough, and I have to remind myself too. We all do. It's all just constant conditioning yourself of, if you want to really extend a hand and offer this person a way for them to see the whole picture and get better, you do have to take a step back, exercise patience, and have more of that strategic, long-term kind of thinking, which is something that we allegedly pride ourselves in anyway. So if we want to represent the best of our people, that's certainly one of our traits. And it even applies, it's tough, online, sometimes there's not a lot of immediate repercussions, and people say things that they would never say face-to-face. And try to exercise something. Roy, I don't know what you think of this. Sometimes I try to think of this too. If the person was right in front of you, if you're typing online, would you say this? Would you be this abrasive with someone if they were standing right in front of you? Or would you be more tactful? Would you be more patient? Would you extend a friendly hand? Obviously, we're talking about outreach here. If someone's going to argue with you and be rude to you, obviously at some point you just have to walk away and close the door on them. We're not saying to grovel to people, but we're talking about outreach here.
So I was just distracted with chat. Yeah, it's really a great point, and I made this mistake a lot, like this year, when I really came off as offensive and really threw people off. Because I was trying to help them. I was in some chat room, and I really wanted to keep it clean and wanted to keep all the stupid links to end-nut sites. I want to keep all that out. And oftentimes I came off as somebody who was just trying to correct people and like being the big pushy guy instead of helping them understand and helping them improve. But
Yeah.
at the same time, one thing I also realized this year, which is very important, is we shouldn't burn ourselves out. Like, we really need to have a contrast, and we should adopt some kind of a hobby, whether it's music or doing outdoor things. Just not spend all the time in front of computers. Have something that's enjoyable, and of course, that's not mainstream television or anything. I've completely removed that from my life. I've actually been quite busy teaching myself new computer things and starting to learn new programming languages that will hopefully help me for a job. And
wonderful. I'm actually, speaking of language, I'm slowly learning rudimentary German, your mother tongue, on an app, and Italian as well. So
nice.
That's one of my hobbies, making sure I get in about 10 minutes a day, just a tiny bit every day, but better to do it every day than an hour once every 2 weeks, just a little bit every day. But it's sad that many of us Americans don't speak several languages. So I've always liked language, and I did well in language in school, and I'm trying to change that.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to visit my mom. But this actually reminded me of something that maybe came out of the positive from what happened last year. There's one thing that always threw me off talking to those so-called liberals was where they spend a crazy amount of money on all kinds of gadgets and new phones and tablets and everything that nobody needs. And then when it came to vacations, they were booking the cheapest possible low-cost flight to fly to a big crowded hotel. And some people even told me that you cannot really swim in the pool because people are standing in the pool watching a television screen because there's a sports game going on, and that's why the flights were so cheap. And if anything good can come out of like last year, then maybe this mass tourism and like the chopping down of woods to build new hotel complexes and all that madness. If that can go away, that would actually be a good thing and giving us back to nature. Because when I go on a vacation, I want to be out on vacation somewhere else. I don't want to have any Wi-Fi or cell phone network or anything, and I especially I don't watch TV at home, so why would I need TV when I'm on a beach? I want to have it quiet, and I especially would not want to be on a beach where people tell me, oh, you actually cannot talk to anybody because there's music coming out of a loudspeaker at a volume too loud to even talk. And with this on a beach, and you call that vacation?
Yes. We have to choose our vacations wisely. You're a brave man to be flying at this time, but I know seeing your mother and your motherland is the more important thing. And I just want to quickly say, thank you for all the support. Like Ray, who was on before, yes. You have been one of our cornerstone moderators for a long time. It's a very important job to the whole ecosystem of live streaming, but it doesn't get the spotlight a lot. And I know that I gave you plenty of accolades at the time, of course, well due, but I just want to say for anyone new who doesn't know this bit of history, well over a year ago at this point, at the end of 2019, Roi here was instrumental in the success of the video contest that I co-sponsored with lovely Parge, our friend from Australia, Last Message to the West. When we had some troubles, he was very generous with his support and was a key figure that helped raise funds so that we could give away almost $2,000 in prizes to the video content creators who made material for that contest. So you have always been very supportive in many ways, Roi, and our hats off to you. Again, and a quick housekeeping note for anyone in the chat right now, there was an imposter of one of our beloved ladies. That was not her. She would never be that rude to people. That was just an imposter trying to stir things up, but that was taken care of.
Indeed, and
just
thank you
very briefly, Chad, you mentioned like being brave of flying. Thing is, actually, this year I know about going free. I kind of know how the world works. I'm not scared that the world would suddenly end and that suddenly everything would go crazy. You know, last year we were all in this big panic mode. We didn't know what was going to happen. Now we know, okay, anti-whites are in control and it's getting gradually worse, but I don't see any reason why anything would be different now or let's say in October. Like, I could fly now, I could fly in October. Things are probably going to be about the same.
Oh, now, sure. I just can't sit in I don't know if you have to sit the whole flight with the mask on, but I can't breathe in those masks for more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm most scared of, actually.
Yeah.
You have to. It's necessary, but yeah.
Well, Roi, it is
enjoy.
Enjoy your time over there back home and with your mother, and give her our love, give her a big hug, and thank you so much for all of your service to White Wellbeing. You are a true champion and a great demonstration of that maturity, the socio-political maturity, the natural maturity as well, is being able to and encourage character, is being able to say, I'm trying to achieve a goal. First of all, he pointed out at the very beginning of what he had to say was he was introduced to some paths back home that he found were objectionable, came to the States, found he was introduced to some other paths that were very similar, also objectionable, and thought there was no real way to go then until he found going free. And he said, there is another path. And I think it would be very useful for those who are new to going free. And there are folks coming on all the time, picking up the practice of going free. That's what going free is. You're going free of the anti-white narrative. You're going free of the meme pathogens that you are infected with. And please do ask people in the live chat if you are unaware of what those things are, and they will help you to begin to understand. And then he had the courage to take this new path that he found. And as Ray was stating before, he found the focus on our people, the love of our people, the redemption, the recapture of our destiny, much more appealing, much more efficacious. He went out into the world wanting to share this, as you are admonished to do when you practice going free. It's one of the ways that you are going to help to heal and free yourself and recapture your personal destiny from the anti-whites. And like all of us, we're fallible. Roi went out there and he had some failures. And then based on the failures, he's correcting course and getting better at helping others to go free. That is how the entire species works. That is how we get from a place of ignorance to a place of awareness, a place of darkness to a place of light. And Roi is going to be one of the people who will be carrying that lantern at the head of this cause and leading us up that mountain to that western sunrise. Roi, thank you so very much for coming on, brother. We dearly love you. Love you, Ray and Heidi. And we're going to let you go now so we can get on to our next guest. But any final thought, brother?
No, I just wanted to thank you guys for all the absolutely amazing work that we are doing. Oh, one thing I would actually like to ask: is there any chance we could possibly bring back like Jacques Martel's garage party? Because I kind of miss that.
Yes, it's entirely possible. I only put it on hiatus, so yeah. Hopefully, I will be able to bring it back within the next couple months.
Awesome. But thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
All right, you too.
Bye, Roi. Enjoy Deutschland. Auf Wiedersehen.
Yes,
until
indeed.
the next time we speak. And again, before we bring on the next guest, I will just briefly say again, we are also crowdsourcing ideas for new types of guests. You will keep seeing the same beautiful guests that you've known us to interview and become friends with over the last 3+ years now. But in addition, we want to pepper in some weeks where we speak to wider spheres, some closer, some further away from us. Could be people that generally call themselves MAGA, Groypers, conservative, patriot, former leftists in their words, even current anti-white people for the occasional debate. I have some good suggestions so far, but we're definitely looking for more, so please type them in the chat. And Jason, what is that? This is C. Things move so fast and we're both so busy. I don't even know. This is embarrassing. What is that D-Live channel you're on now again? Are you able to say that?
Yeah, Jason NWG, no spaces. Jason NWG over on D-Live. Please head on over there, folks. And even if you want to watch the stream elsewhere on one of the other platforms that we're on, head on over to D-Live, Jason NWG. The link for it is at the top of the description on YouTube and for this TAP episode. And follow us there as well.
I'll put that link in the chat. I didn't even know there was an alternate. See how fast things move in the world of TAP and going free, everybody. I didn't even know this. Jason will fill me in afterwards. Obviously, there's something with D-Live. But
Indeed.
Anyway, thank you again, Roi. And who do we have next in chat? I'll keep my eye on the chat for your suggestions for guests, people that you're interested in or that you have connections to. Please let us know.
Yeah, please, live and in replay. Make sure if you put the suggestion in the live chat while we are live, please also put it in the thread below the video. Make it easy for us to not miss, I guess, any of the names, any of the suggestions, or any of the endorsements that you or us or somebody else has given. And next we have to bring up live another great champion. He mods, he starts schools, he does everything under the sun. He's a great champion. You know him. Brent Danger, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, brother. How are you?
Hello, am I on?
You are on.
Yes.
Fantastic. It's great to be here. Hello, boys.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
It's great to see you, Brent, and it's always great to speak with you, especially when we had you on a couple of weeks ago on Going Free, and you're making such great strides with School of the West. Please make sure before you leave us today, that you share all of that info so that folks know where to go, where they can help and support that endeavor. It's one of the most rewarding. It's going to be one of the most efficacious, because it's getting to our youth to protect them from the anti-whiteism, which is ruining them, which is destroying their lives, and story after story, family after family telling us about what their children are being taught and how they are coming home and hating themselves for being white. This is and I'll let Brant go into detail about it, but big thank you for School of the West. Big thank you for the moderating that you're doing. Big thank you for everything else that you're doing behind the scenes and Going Free. We love you deeply, but I will pass the floor to you, brother.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you're not going to see me 12 hours into the stream, unfortunately. I can make it about 4 hours, and then I'm done. So I'll do what I can. Yeah, so I think what I want to do is talk about what Going Free has meant for me, and then kind of move that into the project right now, the School of the West. Yeah, when I was a kid, I was generally a happy kid, but I was also very angry a lot of the time. If you come from parents that are angry and they argue a lot, you've got the environment and you've got the genetics for that. And also, because I was on the autistic end of the spectrum, I never saw the reason for getting into debates or having like an argument, because I would think, well, I already know what the answer is. Why are we talking about this? And like in high school, there was a debate team, and I thought, oh, why would you go on a debate team? That doesn't make any sense at all. It's almost like saying, okay, you guys, you're going to say that 2 + 2 = 4. And you guys over here, you're going to say that 2 + 2 = 7. Okay, now go and debate. Like that's insane. And throughout most of my life, if I thought differently than some other people, I couldn't really handle my emotions. I didn't process information like other people did. I didn't interact socially like other people. So I would just get super angry, and sometimes I would just shut down. I wouldn't know how to talk about things. And as I started to become more red-pilled, like a lot of people experience throughout the planet, you know that things are wrong. You can see what's going on. It's unfair. Sometimes you want to lash out. You feel like you need to do something, but you don't know what to do. And almost every road that you go down turns out to be a dead end. It turns out to be detrimental in the long run. And one of the things that's become more and more apparent to me over the years is that we think in words. So if a person can remember back before they could talk, like I can remember a few memories before I could actually talk, and I could tell someone what those memories are, but it wouldn't be accurate because I wasn't thinking in words at that time. I didn't know how to speak. But now, as adults, all of our memories get encoded with words. We think in words all the time. When we talk to ourselves, we talk in words. And Jason, like you've said before in the past, Western kind didn't lose its civilization because we were invaded by some superior military force. We lost it through thoughts, and those thoughts were propagated on us through words. So it's important to tell people, especially the upcoming generations, that we're thinking in words, and words are actually important. Words are like tools. It would be like, let's say that you need to work on your car, and you've got some wrenches and you've got some pliers, a couple basic tools, but you've got to take out a part in your car that you don't have a tool for. And it turns out that there's only one tool that will do that, and you've got to go to Napa and rent the tool, or you've got to buy it. So once you get that tool, then you can continue to make progress where before you would have been stopped. So the lexicon, the dialectic of Going Free, is that type of a tool. And what needs to be, carried forward with our children is that this information needs to be broken down at their intellectual and maturity levels and given to them in the form of lessons, just like everything else that we learn in public school. And it can be done, and it will be done. And then another thing that I think about with Going Free is that a lot of us have high energy. We have a lot of psychic energy. We have this physical energy, and we want to do something with it. And it kind of gets splattered around. We don't know exactly what to do. And it's kind of like a flashlight, a big flashlight. The beam just goes everywhere. But if you can take that beam, if you can take that light and you focus it down into a narrow beam, then you essentially have a laser. Then you have a tool. Then you can do something with that. So the going free, to me, it is a structure to control your words and to control your thoughts, and to do more than just have these strong feelings about what's going on, but to be able to construct it into words, because once again, we're thinking in words. And when you debate people, if you have the words to express how you feel, if you have the words to express what your thoughts are in clear and concise language, you have a much greater chance of getting through to them. And also, you don't use the words that the victimizers have told you to use, because those words are already spoiled. They already mean something else. So I see the great benefit in what going free is. And I see that right now, the Western civilization and a lot of the rest of the world, we're in a big shift. It can go in different directions, and we're making history at the moment. How important this time frame is right now, we're not going to know until far off into the future. But this is like we're on a fulcrum right here. It can go to the left or the right, and we've got to bring everything to bear right now on what we're doing. So I'm glad that I found you guys on the inner tubes, which is like, it's a series of tubes. And I'm hooked up with you guys and with everyone. Yes, exactly. And with everyone else. And we're all working together as a team. So that's my opening speech. Thank you very much.
Brent, I love the image, and I'm going to use this going forward, of the laser, of how a lot of us have energies and thoughts, and it's kind of diffuse at first. It's kind of just jumbling around in our brains, or emotions kind of firing around in our nervous systems and our bodies. And it could be all kinds. As other people have said today, it could be anger, it could be confusion, or you could just have a lot of willpower to want to change something but not know where to go. It needs to have that focus. That's when it becomes, as you said, a tool. So that is a great image. It's a great metaphor, really powerful. And in the few minutes we have with you, I know some of our community here already knows about this, but we'd be remiss not to hear about your School of the West. So if you could just please tell us about that resource, as that is a primary project, and how you are contributing.
Okay. So the website is schoolofthewest.world. And again, as it exists right now, it is a website with static pages, which means that you don't actually interact with the pages at this point, but there's material broken down by subject and by age ranges. And as people continue to donate more material, that will be going onto the site. So in the future, what's going to happen is I will have live lessons when I have the time for that, and that's still kind of up in the air right now. That may start this summer, or it may not start until next year. So what's going to happen is there's going to be live lessons on there, and up until the time that there are live lessons, and even when there are live lessons, there's going to be material in English language arts and math and science, and the material on those sections are going to be in line with state standards in the United States. So if you've got a child which is being homeschooled, you can go to that site, and it's not going to be like a full year's worth of material. Let's say that they're doing second grade math, but the lessons that will be in there for the second grade, maybe there'll be 40 to 50 lessons. And if they can do each of those lessons, if they're competent at those, then you know that your child has reached competency for those standards in that year, and they can go on to the next year if they want to. So in reality, when you're homeschooling, there's going to be the cognitive and maturity level that may hold them back because they're just developing as a human, but they're not going to be held back by classes. So you're going to have those standard subjects. There's going to be subjects in life skills, working on things, working on cars, working on bicycles, growing a garden, sewing, making art projects, that type of stuff. There'll be lessons in programming. There will be material which is not necessarily going to be set up to be educational, where there's assessments given, but it will be more historical / cultural. Some of it will be pure history, and some of it will be talking about the myths that we have as a people and where did those myths come from our many different cultures. Plus, also, Lovely Porridge just started a section for me. It's brand new, where we call it Meet the People or Meet Your People. So we're going to be going to different countries around Western kind and give a brief intro, and the introduction is going to be aimed for the youngsters, so they know, like, hey, we're here and here and here and here and here, we're all over these places. Here's a little bit of information about it. And then as people come forward, they want to go more in depth as to how these places evolved over time, or if they are outside of Europe, how did we go there? How did we settle? How did we set up the governments, etc.?
Yeah.
So it's all going to get fleshed out. And I cannot say exactly what the school is going to be eventually, because it's going to keep evolving as more and more resources are accrued, and the more time that I have to spend on it. So there's a whole lot of stuff in my head. I just haven't had the time yet to develop it.
It's incredible. This is incredible. This is another example of the initiatives that people are taking here. We mentioned when Sarah Dye was on tap a few weeks ago, and she herself is a homeschooling mom, spoke about this, spoke about incorporating your School of the West into what she does with her children at home. And I'll just briefly say, for a plug, but hey, it's another way we're contributing, and I'm here too. The particular piece I wrote in the Folk Coffee Table book that White People's Press published, and you see behind me the new WPQ magazine, we'll talk about that at the end, that came out in November. So I wrote a story about a positive vision of a future, because we have enough black-pilled stuff, and I wanted to give people something to imagine. And it's told, a short story told through the eyes of two young children, a sister and a brother. And the brother's older, and he's about to go off on his trip. That in that world, we all take trips when we're in our early to mid-teens to other Western countries to see the ways that we're connected and experience these other Western cultures. To arrive at a future like that one day, we need the exact kind of thing that Brant is doing to teach our children this way. And I actually saw a vision of that better future that I imagine and I propose for you to imagine in that story. I saw in what Brant was saying something happening here and now, as I sit here and now in April of 2021, that is an actionable item that's building towards that kind of a future. So that is a very touching and beautiful thing. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work and the thought that you're putting into this.
Well, I couldn't have done it if I wasn't just fortunate enough to have the background that I've had with the type of training that I had. I had no idea that I would be doing this someday, but it just goes to show that maybe sometimes when you're in a job you don't like, it's kind of anti-white, you can still learn from the victimizers anyway. You can take those skills and you can turn it around for your own people. And
it's what you do with it.
It's
what you do with it.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have had this framework to then pass on to the younger generations. So at least I'm smart enough to realize the solution when I see it, and so I don't need to waste any time. Like, let's get it done. And I know that we're going to win. We're going to recapture the destiny. That's my bold prediction right now. And there's more and more people that are getting involved all the time. And I want to say thank you to everyone that has given your talent and your time to this so far. Appreciate it.
Very well said, brother. What a champion you are. And just I really want to underscore each of the first three today, and we've got one more hero to step forward, but each of the first three today are moderators as well, on top of everything else that they do in service to white well-being. So, and they all have touched upon specific points that are extraordinarily puissant and relevant to everything that you and I and we all need to do if we're going to be able to recapture our destiny. And Brant was touching upon the point of the power of language. And if you don't have the ability to construct the thoughts that will serve in your defense, then you are simply defenseless. It's so very powerful, and it was a magnificent thing to topic to bring up, brother. And of course, School of the West folks, do participate. Each of these three gentlemen that have been up so far have demonstrated that they are not only paragons in the community of service to white well-being, but they are also paradigms. So you can model yourself after their endeavors, after their enthusiasm, after their tenacity. They have been here for the long haul. They didn't show up. I can tell you that you go elsewhere, all across YouTube and on other platforms as well. And when you find people who have the title moderator, you very often find people who are will of the wisp. They're not involved in any way other than a simple making sure that there aren't death threats or something like that. And that's all they do. These three go out of their way. There is an extensive program that we have for watching the kinds of things that are said, being aware of things like we had today, an infiltrator who came in to try to disrupt and then deal with that promptly. So we deeply appreciate them. They have each also become centers of gravity in and of themselves. As they've taken the lexicon and dialectics of Go Free, they are practicing it in their lives, and then they have become a center of gravity to make things happen in their world. Now, for you might be able to become a center of gravity as well, but you don't have to be a center of gravity. You can join your efforts to theirs as well. So a great example here would be reaching out to Brant Danger and helping him with the great work that he's doing. School of the West, it's supportive material for homeschool white children, and it is beyond invaluable. And we feel the same way about you, Brant. We love you, and we will absolutely have you back soon.
All right, love you guys. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, Brant, tremendous work, and I underscore what Jason said. Before we bring our next guy on, I just want to give our public service announcement for a brief minute here. I'll tell you who's been suggested so far, because again, we're crowdsourcing anyone that just joined, or if you're listening in replay, reach out to us or write in the comments under. We're crowdsourcing ideas for people that are wider circles, different circles. We're going to keep interviewing and getting to know or having friends back, the people you've seen on tap. But in addition, we're going to be expanding. So I gave some ideas. If anyone knows these names, of course, a little bit further out would be people like Matt Christensen and Blonde and Belly the Beast, or Styx, who recently spoke about, he had a video saying he could make a case for European peoples being indigenous to North America. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We have people who call themselves former leftists, in their words. Maybe they were indeed anti-white. We could, of course, ask them themselves if they show up. But names like Dr. Karlin Borisenko from New Hampshire, and she's part of this walk away movement, was former leftist that went Trump, but is even going further now, talking about critical race theory and how harmful that is, and she's trying to fight legislation on it. Benjamin Boyce is another guy who, he had the whole Pacific Northwest leftist liberal guy thing going on, but he's come around and is trying to have a much wider and more nuanced and focused conversations with the people he speaks to on his show. So those are some examples. Let us know what you think. It could be debates too, sometimes with people that really don't like what we do. There's a guy, another Jared Yates Sexton, who wrote a book, doesn't like what Tucker Carlson talks about, and I thought him and Jason would probably have a very interesting debate. So far, I've gotten these suggestions from you all. Before the show, someone mentioned a guy on Twitter called Wurzel Root we'll look at. I've heard about Mr. Obvious, Monsieur Z, and then someone mentioned the Swedish web magazine Riks, if I'm saying that correctly. And there's a woman there, Eva. So that has something to do with a political party there that's more nationalistic, I suppose. whatever that means relative to the scene in Sweden. But those are just the suggestions I've got. Only 4 suggestions so far. So please do let us know if you have connections to, if you participate in chats of, even if you're aware of, but don't really know much of, but want us to check out certain creators, activists, voices. Again, they could be further out from what we do. They could be really further out from what we do. It could be MAGA, Groyper, Patriot, conservative, former leftists, former anti-whites, or even, as I said, some debates. We might see some debates on this program if we have some people that were willing to do that. But it's all about expanding the reach, presenting ourselves to the general public. We're normal people. It's normal to be doing this. Give people the verbiage, give people the perspectives, help them to go free. And this is how we have to do it. We have to grow. We have to grow. And we have to all do this together. We have the best community here by far. We know this is the best community in these spheres. So we're asking you to help us brainstorm. And as I said, if you're listening after the show, reach out, comment. This is an ongoing thing, but we want to grow in 2021. And we're all going to do this together.
Amen. Very well said, brother. Let's see. Let me ask Brant Danger really quickly to jump on over to the D Live at Jason NWG so that I can moderate you. All you got to do is just follow there, and I'll be able to click on there and then give you moderation powers. Our next and final guest of TAP today is a gentleman who is, relative to the first 3, quite new to the community, but you will know and love this gentleman without question. And when you see his, if you've seen his videos, you'll know that he's always in these picturesque settings, and he speaks with such love and joy in his heart. It is a real blessing to be able to see the videos that he makes. He even has the power in one of his videos to, when talking about going free, to call upon the powers of God, and the sky rips open and the sun peers down through upon him, and the words of going free. And that is our one very own beloved Jerome. How are you doing, good brother? Can you hear us okay?
I hear you very well, and thank you for having me on, brother. I can't believe this is like a dream come true for me.
Oh, it's our honor. It absolutely. And there you are again, and out in nature and looking fantastic and healthy
I'm
and
live
happy.
streaming from a stream bed right here in California.
Double meanings. I love it. Jerome, it's great. It's great to speak to you. I've seen you in the chat for a while, and recently you began making these appreciation videos. A few weeks ago, we spoke. I think, if memory serves, it was after the Sarah Dye tap that I mentioned a few moments ago. You reached out with a comment, and then we started chatting on DM on Twitter. But you're always such a positive presence, and you're just throwing yourself into it, giving us your perspectives from where you are, and we just appreciate you, and we love that we're able to do this kind of thing now. Jason and I, we've done maybe a little bit here and there for special shows, but we said to each other, we want to do more of these community spotlights, and it's so great that you could join our first one here.
Well, I'm really honored to be here, and I have so much to appreciate in this community. I cannot begin to publish 1/10 of the moments when I get something from this community that I say, I've got to save this, I've got to publish this, I've got to share this. This needs to be spread far and wide. So I had an open question from a while ago about that, is how to, I meet people all the time, and I see they're often in certain, I would call them demographic groups, like families with young children, mothers with young children, fathers with young children,
Yes.
Couples that aren't yet obviously having children. And I'm picturing, I want to have something to hand them to help them see the value of white well-being and no white guilt, and lifting them, because they're walking under the burden of all of these meme pathogens that have infected them. But I can see if we could have a message tailored maybe to each different situation that people find themselves in. I could have a little booklet, take out the right leaflet. Oh, here's a mother with child. Help protect your baby from
Right.
Antiwhiteism.
Mm-hmm. That is a brilliant idea. And folks, Jerome has been, like I said, I mean, he hit the ground running. As soon as he found Going Free, he absolutely threw his arms around it. And he is immediately thinking about, how can I get this that obviously feels so good and strong and powerful for him? How can I get this out to folks? And he has, and I'll be sharing this on tomorrow, Sunday, I guess an app that you use or are working on. And then he's got this, and it's a brilliant question about having leaflets, or we could perhaps, like little card stock we could come out with for specifically targeting, just like Jerome is saying here, families or young adults or what have you, so that you have a little script there, something you can say. Elaine Sabatino also actually brought this up as well, about having a script because of her success going out and speaking with folks. And she'll be obviously one of the people that we will end up sharing on one of these community streams. And this is a splendid idea. And that's one of the projects we have to work on. It is so very important. I have given orally some ideas on when approaching these sorts of people, as I have approached them in the past, but that's really not nearly as powerful or as useful, because you have to track it down somewhere, you have to remember, but not nearly as powerful, as useful as having specifically leaflets or of card stock or something, or even business card size, so you can have a bunch of them on you, and then you can go and hand them out depending upon the community that you come across. But so wonderful to have Jerome on today, and someone like Jerome, who everybody likes. Jerome, I mean, who does not like Jerome? He is an immediately likable guy, and you could tell he has a great heart and a great spirit. We're so grateful to have you here, brother. What was we definitely want to know what else you had on your mind that you wanted to share with us, but I also wanted to ask you to speak to when you first came to Go Free. What was that like for you? What was that? How was it different than what you had seen before? And why did you feel like maybe this was that sunny path that we see behind you that you should trod rather than some of those other storm-laden paths of the past?
Oh, when I first found Going Free, it was like the sun coming out from beneath black clouds. I had been trying all my life to do something positive for my people, and I hadn't found anything that was effective. I was just failing again and again and again, and hoping people could wake up. But now once I saw Going Free and I started to practice it, my life has just been getting exponentially better. I'm on a huge upswing.
Jerome, how did you come across the channel?
I learned about you through James Fox Higgins, and I think I'd recommend him as another potential guest to have someday on tap. If you remember him, the Australian.
Yeah, he was on last July.
Yes.
Yeah. So check the archives.
When you were on his program, I think you were interviewed by him. Jason was, and that's how I learned about Going Free. And then somebody said, there's this guy Jason, he does these really long, he puts in such long streams. And then one day I tuned into one of them and I saw why they're so long. We need a lot of it. I've been appreciating it. I mean, I listen to it even when it's not live. I capture them to my phone, and I watch them through iMovie, and then I can cut out clips, because each one has like gold nuggets in it that I say, this is just the right piece for this person. And what we need is a way to get the right pieces to the right people. So like, I would like if those little cards or flyers had a way to link them to some really appropriate clip from Going Free that would touch their hearts.
Yeah, I like your idea about the focused material that you could hand out to someone. You're definitely right. Of course, with your instinct of it's always going to be for parents, it's going to be their children. That's going to be that's the emotional leverage that you need to address. Just get at the root. But I do like this idea. We have been combing through. I think Jason's going to publish a few We've been combing through some clips, making a couple of clips, but I like this idea of really trying to custom tailor. And so everyone, I'll say this to the chat, anyone who listens to the shows on this show and certainly on Going Free on Sundays, because that might really be where Jason gives something a nice, maybe few minutes, like very powerful, that laser focus that Brant was talking about a few moments ago, where we could say, okay, this would be great to send to young parents, or this would be great to send to, a young guy in college who's maybe feels a little lost and doesn't have a lot of friends. And yeah, if you could we could find maybe different clips for different situations, and then have ways sharing them online. But even you could print cards if you want to do it physically, like you said, with a Q code on it, and it would take you to the clip. That's a great idea. I mean, there's so many great initiatives, and that's another one of them. So everyone, please, I guess this episode, you get a little homework, but it's fun kind of homework. Yeah. We'll disassociate it with the kind of homework you did in school that you didn't like. We'll come up with it. We'll come up with a new word for it. I also want to say too, it's great to see you. Our community knows this. Sometimes we see silly stuff in the wider spheres, in the wider circles as well. So we're not doxing you. Obviously, it's a huge state. It's the size of a country. But you yourself said you're in California, right? You said that before.
I said that, yeah.
Yeah, it just goes to show that we have wonderful people everywhere. You can't just forget these
Even
places.
California.
Sometimes, California is the butt of jokes, or cities. I know that there's a lot of wonderful things to be said of being close to nature, but I'm from a city myself, and I ended up here. You have to be cognizant of the fact that you might be making fun of California or making fun of urbanites or something, and it might be someone's first time in the chat. Every week we have people dipping their toe in. There's people right now, I can assure you, who you're not seeing their little avatars go by on the DLive chat or on the YouTube chat. But they're just here in the background checking it out. Maybe that's how a lot of you started. And they're just seeing. They're not sure where they are. They're seeing what these guys on the screen are talking about, but they're also looking closely at what you all are typing. And of course, we don't want people to feel like they're walking on eggshells or anything. We all have to be ourselves. But be aware of when you're saying something that might be a little negative about a certain area of the country, certain type of person. Our wonderful people are everywhere in all walks of life and doing all kinds of jobs in all kinds of locales. And look at this. I'm from a big East Coast city. That's the butt of a lot of jokes. We have Jerome out in California. California is the butt of a lot of jokes. But we're here. Jerome's representing us very well. Jerome, you said that you had been looking for ways to be active for a long time. While we have you, are you able to give us kind of a condensed version of what's colloquially people call your red pill story? What woke you up to the things going on?
Well, you could say I've been red pilling since like 1978 or 1980, something like that. I found this bookstore, a true underground bookstore. It was actually in the basement in Sunnyvale called Liberty Books. And in there, they had all the forbidden books there were already forbidden books before 1980. And I started to drink those in and read about that stuff. So I've read a lot of the doom documenting and doom dissecting. But what's so uplifting about being here is there's a solution. A real solution that doesn't involve pointing the finger at particular other groups of people, but involves working on something positive that we can do. I mean, that's been the huge red pill about discovering Going Free. That's been a whole nother level of red pill, is that, hey, there's an answer. It isn't just bad all the way down. More and more layers of how we've been subverted and cheated and lied to and tricked for thousands of years. There's a way out of this prison. Yep. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but yeah.
I mean, imagine that. I just think about how exciting this. I'm getting more excited by the moment. It's too bad, Jared. We absolutely have to do it. Maybe like every other week, we have to have a tap that is plugging folks from out of the community and have them on and have these 4 gentlemen back again. But it's just remarkable to hear that Jerome has started back in the 70s at this bookstore that was in a basement, and year after year, decade after decade, going through this material and learning, as he just said here, about how we've been subverted for thousands of years. He knows all of that. And I can tell you, I know so many folks out there who know all just more facts and names and this and that about all of these other groups and how we have been undermined time and again. And they go nowhere with it, nowhere. And Jerome is a great example representing right now. I tell you right now, Jerome, you are representing a lot of folks who are out there who have been on that same path, and they finally come to going free, and they're like, there's a solution. We can actually work to improve our situation. This is showing success, and it is pragmatic, and it's friendly. It's built in love, hope, and redemption, and it absolutely has the ingredients to succeed. And I'm going to tell you what about all of the ingredients that we have in service to white well-being and the practice of going free to succeed. This is what I'm most excited about. The ingredients of these folks here today. Jerome with his great beer stein there, and then Roi and Ray and Brant. This has never happened. I've been in the white sympathetic spheres for decades, not numeral 4, but 4 decades. And I have never been at a single meeting or a single conference, even with hundreds of people there, where you had competent, mature, rational adults coming together as we have on just this very show and discussing how we, in all of our own ways, are pushing in the same direction, how we are all shoulder to shoulder, pushing in the same direction of our own volition. It's truly remarkable. Jerome, take it away.
Well, I don't know what more to say. I mean, I had a lot to say, but it's all erasing from my mind. I love this mug. I saw it. It has it's like from our culture.
Yes, it is.
From Western kind. This is the way we used to live. We used to drink from a piece of art like this.
Yeah.
Jerome.
This is the kind of village we used to create, and we will again.
Yeah.
I love steins, Jerome, and I've seen some beautiful ones in my day. I have to say, my brother is a big go big or go home kind of guy. My brother is an intense guy. So I'm not trying to show you up here because it wouldn't be practical to bring one this size out to the woods like you are. Looks like a beautiful day where you are too. I'm sure you're enjoying it. But look at this baby.
Oh, yes. Whoa.
That my brother picked out for me. This whole scene of these guys drinking beer at the castle in the background.
Oh, yeah.
That is awesome.
We should all have one of these. I mean, this is it. It's upgraded my sipping experience tremendously.
Well,
It's
no joke. I mean, people even comment on these glass goblets I drink from. But here's the thing. I believe wholeheartedly, and I know Jason does as well because I've heard him say the very same thing, that beauty is a virtue. And so
beauty is a virtue.
At any time, but especially right now with what's going on in the world, you can make little choices to make your day-to-day experience more beautiful. And it will give these little jolts of positivity and inspiration into your day in these little cracks even sometimes where you didn't think there could be, like where you just choose to drink from a nice glass of water instead of a plastic cup or something like that. Now, I don't drink from this. This is just a nice thing that my brother got me because he knows I like steins. And I've been in places where there's a whole collection. I'd love to have a collection one day, more because of the aesthetics. I don't even drink alcohol, to tell you the truth, and I certainly wouldn't drink that much beer. But it's really just the appreciation of the handiwork. And as you said, Jerome, that is in our people to make every little thing even what you're drinking out of, a work of art, an experience. So I do invite everyone to think about that as well, what you surround yourself with. Jason and I talk about this all the time. We see Jason's plant. I don't have it on camera, but I have tons of plants around me right now. Bring some liveliness to the home. So there's all kinds of ways that we can do it. And that's just one small one. My brother got my parents a smaller one, more like the one you have. Beautiful scene with a buck, with a deer, and a forest scene. It similar to the one that you have. They have it up on their mantle. But I definitely encourage people, get some steins or get some. You know what I love too? The someone in the chat type it that. What is the blue and white pattern that they do in Holland? I was in Amsterdam, and all over is like the gingham pattern on the tablecloths, and then that kind of, the name's escaping me, but that technique they do for their plates and their different dining ware. If someone in the chat, let me know. But I think you know what I'm talking about, that blue and white that they do in Holland.
Yeah.
Just so, yeah.
Yeah.
A lesson I learned getting this one and 3 with lids like yours, Jared, is that I don't recommend that top. I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe so you can carry them without it spilling, but I don't find them comfortable to drink from when they have the top. So if you want one for actual everyday use, look for one that has a normal place to rest your lips.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Maybe that top so things don't get in. I don't know, but
when I try and tip it away, it doesn't get far enough away from my face, so I can't figure out how to drink comfortably out of those steins that have the beautiful cap lid on them. I just haven't mastered that yet. But an example, another group, a demographic that I know I want to reach is I go to this gym all the time, and it's an anti-white propaganda place. Every single poster in there is calling for white erasure. And there are, but among the clientele are a lot of our people. Maybe 30 to 50% of the people there are Western kind. And I see these young people, and they've got the anti-white posters calling for white erasure, every single one. And they've got the TVs going with the constant stream of anti-white sports and anti-white news. And I'm telling myself I need some cards for those people too. But different ones for the young men, different ones for the young women, different ones for the middle-aged men. But anyway, I'm just seeing, like, there's so many places I go where I see people that by what they're doing and where they are, I can tell a window into how to make a connection that would reach them, rather than some more random thing that feels like it's just calling out to anybody.
Yeah,
I really like that.
We could do, Jason, you know, we've done, sometimes in the past, we've done shows where we kind of bounced around ideas. So that could be something too. You know, Jerome, we, as I said, when someone asked about music before, we're always tweaking, as I know you are too. I'm sure we all are, our effectiveness and time management, balancing our schedule. So I don't want to bite off more than I could chew. I'm not saying we're going to add shows and do another show every week aside from TAP, but every so often, Jason and I have talked about this on and off. We do have these other brands we sometimes break out besides the after party, like after hours. Sometimes we do after hours, we call it, and it's really more informal. And that's a perfect opportunity to kind of do brainstorming and maybe literally do like a public meeting and brainstorming about some of the ideas that you're talking about. Like how do you best approach this demographic, that demographic? So I'm going to write that down as well because I'm making notes anyway about potential guests, since this is a crowdsourcing episode.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on today. It's been a delight.
No, Jerome, it is all our honor. It is all our delight. And we're absolutely going to have you back. I could not be more ecstatic than to have you in this community in service. You are in it to win it, as the saying goes.
Yes.
You are using it. You are practicing. See, and that's the big difference, folks. You can't just pick up Go Free and read it once, or you can't just get it and put it on your bookshelf and have the pages still all stiff. You have to go out and live it in the world. Roi was talking about, everybody was talking about that. I mean, look at the lives changed here, and the lives that, for example, Jerome, all the changes brought to himself, the changes he's bringing to others with these magnificent videos and going out into the world and thinking about how can we do this? How can we improve what we are doing? How can we reach more people with what works? Raymond's life and Heidi's life completely changed. A 180 completely changed. They're building their communities as well. Roi Danton, his life completely 180'd, and himself improving on how he reaches folks with the message, and constantly out there endeavoring to find folks to bring over to Go Free. Brant Danger putting together School of the West, talking about these ideas that we use now, how we construct our ideas and how effective it is when we use the lexicon dialectics of going free. And Jerome's videos that he's making. I shared your Twitter. What is your YouTube page, brother?
It's Jerome space V.
Jerome space V. And we'll get that into the live chat, folks. Do follow Jerome on Twitter and at YouTube, Jerome space V on YouTube, and like the clips that he is making, and make sure that you don't get unfollowed by YouTube, as they are wont to do. We see that happening all the time, but they are magnificent. Share them. And the really powerful thing that I thought Jerome said, brother, and then we'll let you go, something that's really insightful that can help folks right now, wherever they are, is that Jerome says he watches Going Free. He watches the work. He finds stuff in the book Go Free, and then he thinks of specific people. This would be perfect for this group, or that would be perfect for that person. That would be perfect for this lady or that man. And then he gets them that material. That sort of customized approach. And now he's talking about expanding on this idea. He's bringing it to us, and we're absolutely going to be working on this card stock or business cards or something that we can have for the whole range of people to specifically customize the message for them. It is brilliant. We all can begin doing this right now. When it comes to the streams and the material in the book, you can even, I've seen people take photographs of pages out of the book and send it to people they know. It's fantastic. God bless you, Jerome. We love you, and we will have you back whenever you want to come back, brother.
I love you, brothers. Thank you for what you're doing. You've changed my life.
Oh, God bless you.
Jerome, love to you. And we'll have a special show just about steins and dining ware and all those things from our people. But it was so great to speak to you. I put that, I didn't see that side before. Beautiful. I put your link, your YouTube, in the D-Live chat and the YouTube chat. One more thing I want to say that Jerome does, and I'll thank you while you're here, is you have started making clips, and this is so important. I try to do it, and I try to do what I can, but we need a lot of people doing it. Finding little clips. It could be 30 seconds, 10 minutes, but certainly even 10 minutes is a lot more palatable than a 2-hour stream. This is what's going to help share things virally around the internet with people. Jerome is making clips, so please grow his channel. Go subscribe and go check out the fact that he's making clips from our shows, and go share them around. Copy and paste those links and share, tweet them, gab them. Get them on your Telegram if you do Telegram. It is that alone is a tremendous service. So thank you as well for making the clips. And everyone go share Jerome's clips and feel free to make your own.
All right, Jerome. Thank you so much, brother, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Wow, isn't that amazing, Jared? Isn't that absolutely amazing?
Yeah, my heart is warmed. My heart is warmed.
No, I have to tell you, and I got to tell everybody before we get out of here, we'll just reiterate again about the crowdsourcing portion of this, that maybe I'll let you do that one more time, Jared, before we go. But I really have to say this, and that is that I reiterate that I've been in for over 2 decades in service to white well-being, in white sympathetic spheres, in more meetings and conferences than I can count. And I have never had been witness to a situation like we just had here today, an event like we just had here today, where you have people that are coming together of their own volition based in this practice of going free, service to white well-being, becoming centers of gravity themselves and building community where they are. This is what I've talked about for so long when people have said, well, do you craven away to some hole over here or craven away to some hole over there and build community in those places? And I've tried to tell folks that you can't do such a thing. It's not feasible. It's not workable. Every effort fails miserably. In some cases, those things will be done on very small levels, and where infused with the psychological defense for the psychological victimization, the warfare that is waged against us by the anti-whites, those communities will be able to survive. They won't be able to survive where it is just something other, where it lacks the psychological defense, anything else. And it's not going to be able to survive anti-whiteism, period. But what I've also said is that communities are going to spring up where they are. And that is exactly what we have Ray and Heidi telling us about where they live. They have taken Go Free to their neighborhood. They now have barbecues where they could not have barbecues, and they're able to do so because of the lexicon and the dialectics of going free. They're able to be moral people in their neighborhood. They're able to be upstanding people in their neighborhood because they're going free. And we had Jerome, we have everybody else talking about so perfectly, so poignantly about these focuses on all of these other groups, all of this negativity. This positivity is what's going to work. And it's what has been working. There has never been anything like this. The only thing that has come close to this are these poorly shod, poorly put together facsimiles of success, where you have some sort of top-down endeavor, which only ever works when everybody is a mercenary and you have some multimillionaire or centimillionaire paying for the whole thing. It doesn't work otherwise, where you have this top-down endeavor, and they say, okay, now you are going to be the person who does this, and you're sitting around these tables. I've done it. I've been at these events so many times, and you are going to do this, and it's like children coming together rather than adults about something that's very serious, and that is the well-being of Western kind, the well-being of our most vulnerable members. I said all along, it has to be organic. People have to come of their own volition because it's working and improving their lives. And this is what we have seen in spades today. We have absolutely seen healthy people getting better in their own lives, getting better in their own judgments, accessing more of their latent physical, mental, and spiritual potential. I mean, we even had Jeffrey Doherty on the show I was on the other day saying he started going free, and it's opened up just 8 months ago, and it's opened up all these new doors for him, and he's dropped 50 pounds because of going free. It's got to do that for people, because when it does that for people, they will become their own centers of gravity, or they will wed themselves to others who are more capable or able to do such things, and they will bring their own unique talents to assisting them in what they are doing, and it will happen everywhere. It is what has to happen if it's going to be successful. It is the only way that we speak, even though with many different languages across all of Western kind, we speak with a single tongue of going free. And that is when the richest and most powerful anti-white oligarchs in the world will tremble in their towers at the wrath that they have stirred in our people, because we will be saying no more with a single tongue. And God bless today. God bless everybody who has come on and everybody who is supporting white well-being and who will go out into the world with this positive energy and make a great change in the world. And there's one I'm going to say before I pass it over to Mr. George to find out, again, bring us focus one more time on the community, the crowdsourcing part of this TAP episode. And that is, there is one new member to the community who hit the ground running, just full force with energy and enthusiasm. And he is now disappeared, and people are wondering, is he okay? What's happened to him? And we have a specific request for anybody who knows how to contact and find out if he's okay, Ascended Practitioner. If anybody knows Ascended Practitioner, is he okay? He has suddenly disappeared from the contacts of those who had contact with him. If you know how, please reach out to him and let us know whether or not he is doing all right, and we'll see if we can help him. But what an inspiring tap this was today. Mr. George, I pass it over to you. And then after you refocus us, I'll have a quick look at the financial gifts.
All right, since you're going to look at the financial gifts, I'm just going to briefly say, yes, Ascended Practitioner was very active, and now haven't seen him, so I'll underscore what Jason said. We hope everything is okay. Sometimes people need just to take a step back for personal reasons, and that's all right. Secondly, on a much lighter note, it's Delftware from the city in the Netherlands. That is the word I was looking for before, that lovely creamy white and blue flatware and all kinds of materials you see in the kitchen. And I had the pleasure of being around some of that when I was in the Netherlands, and with that gingham blue and white checkered tablecloth kind of pattern. I remember having a breakfast in a restaurant that was all decked out in that kind of thing. So it's always amazes me and always warms my heart to be around the different expressions of Western kind, of our European story. And since Jason said I'm supposed to be refocusing us all right now, I'll say one last time that my heart is warmed. This was a beautiful episode for the four gentlemen that we're on, and they represent so many more. We'll have more of you on when we do these community-focused streams, as we will be doing community spotlight streams, but it is also a crowdsourcing kind of let's brainstorm together sort of stream. So I'll say one more time, if you're listening live now, let us know, or in the comments. We're seeking to expand. We're seeking to stay with the kinds of interviews we've been doing for the last 3 years. None of that's going to change. We just want to expand and talk to more people and show them what we're about and have an exchange. And I'm sure that that will help change some hearts and minds and bring more people over. Look at the four gentlemen we heard from today, and look at the kinds of comments we're hearing in the chat. Lives were changed. Positive change was affected. How many more people could we be affecting if we do the right kind of patient and wise outreach? So I mentioned we have people who are very close to our spheres, might just be a step or two away from the kinds of things that we do, but might be what we generally call here in the States a little more mainstream conservative, MAGA patriot types. One big show that comes to mind is Matt Christensen, Blonde and Belly the Beast. There's certainly some other big YouTube shows or video platform shows, not only on YouTube anymore, but shows like that. So think in that direction. Think of the people who call themselves former leftists and former anti-whites. Remember, even our own Sarah Dye, and she wouldn't mind me saying this because she says it herself. Sarah was on just a few weeks ago, most recently, was a former anti-white. I mean, practically Antifa. So anyone who's new here, please reframe and rethink if you think someone is lost, if they're too far down a certain path. No one is ever lost. Sarah Dye will tell you she ran with some Antifa types, and now look what she's doing, the beautiful wife and mother she is, the homeschooling. Just go to the afterparty.tv, type in Sarah Dye, D-Y-E, listen to the episodes that she's been on, and tell us that you cannot feel the warmth and the love from this woman and the virtue, the honor, and that she's on the right track. So there are certainly people who are what they describe themselves as former leftists, former anti-white, I'm sure was mixed up in that as well. We might have people like that. If you see the outreach that's already been done, like Jason being on the Jeffrey Doherty show a few nights ago or a few weeks ago, Lauren Witzke being on Going Free, use that, leverage that. If you see a more mainstream type thing or more of a redirect kind of thing, you know what YouTube does. The Jordan Peterson video is suggested after our video. We'll go to that video and maybe put the link to Jason's interview with Jeffrey under such a video, or Epoch Times or something like that, or Newsmax. Go to their Twitter and go to a particularly hot tweet they have where a lot of people are talking, and maybe not even under the main tweet itself. maybe there's, you know how sometimes there'll be a comment under a tweet and then people will comment under that comment, it'll start a whole conversation. Maybe that is a good place because you're more likely to actually get some eyeballs on it rather than if you just put it right under the main tweet from some news source that has 1 million followers or something, it might get lost. But if you get involved in a conversation there, maybe that's a good strategy. So that kind of thing as well. But we're looking for new types of people to speak with, even possibly debates sometimes. I gave a suggestion before of a gentleman I tried to reach out to on Twitter, didn't hear back from him. He had written a book warning about the kinds of things Tucker Carlson talks about on Fox News. He thinks that that's very bad. Obviously, we have a very different perspective here, and I think it would be quite interesting to have Jason debate him. I'd be happy to moderate such a debate if that made sense. But these are just a few of the ideas that we had before the show. Doesn't mean that these are the best ideas or these are the people we'll speak with, but I just wanted to give you examples of kind of the directions to think in. But please reach out to us, whether now or after the show, and let us know, especially if you're involved in other communities. I mentioned before, Yiz, an amazing member of this community, and she, of course, was on her own tap a couple of weeks ago. She is amazing at networking. She's amazing at building bridges, making connections, networking. If you're like Yiz and you're active in other chats and other communities, let us know. Let us know if there might be some overlap. Let us know if there might be a bridge to build there. Let us know if some people from their community might want to speak with us. But other than that, Jason, what is going on? Do we have any questions or gifts to address?
Well, let's do that. The first thing I want to say is Art Acrobats has produced this brilliant card with the Liberty Statue of Liberty on it. The no white guilts, and he cards, and he says, give me a second or two, please. I can send 1,000 NWG Statue of Liberty cards sent to you. Well, I will definitely happily receive them and then distribute them to everybody who would want them and willing to give up their address. Also, Art Acrobat's a brilliant card that he created, and others have been using it successfully as well. Also, I will ask you, Art Acrobats, if you send me the file for that, I can put that up on with the other leaflets and things of that nature on nowhiteguilt.org. If you email me, or I don't know which platform we're talking over, you could get that file to me if you would like, and I can post it there, and then folks everywhere around the world can download and produce those cards that you designed beautifully, and then get them out to their communities, and cards that are successful as well, already proving their success with getting folks interested. Now we have, I don't know if it is an issue. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention really quickly, because it's come up a couple times over the course of this little bit of an extended tap today, is that we have folks who, if you want to know whether or not, there's so many proofs of the success of going free, of the lexicon of the dialectics. Here's another one. How many times do you meet a person who is a leftist or would call themselves leftist or Marxist or woke or whatever it might be, social justice warrior, and they also will happily say that they were anti-white? It doesn't happen. It's very rare. They'll say, "Well, I was a leftist, but not anti-white." No, if you are a leftist, you're anti-white. I mean, unless you're trying to claim by the title that you were a leftist, for example, or to stick with that, for example, for one reason alone, and it was for the environment, and you didn't want to harm people, or it didn't matter which people got harmed because you wanted to harm everybody to help the environment. Every single one of those positions are anti-white. That's what really sets them apart. So it's impossible to be over there and not be anti-white. But I do give a little bit of room for there to be somebody who was, as I say, maybe an environmentalist, but didn't want to harm human beings to save the environment. And so therefore we're not harming white people to save the environment. But in every case that I have, a discussion that I've had with folks, it is so telling of the power of using anti-white and anti-whiteism that they disavow that aspect. No, absolutely wasn't what really? So you were just economic? Is that what it? Yes. Well, which people were suffering from your economic policies that you endorsed? Was it and then you named the different non-white groups, and well, no, and then is it? So it was white people who were harmed by your economic policies or your immigration policies or whatever it might be that you endorsed. It is a demonstration of the power. People do not want to be the villain in our story. And if you force them to come over to the pages of our story, you will win that discussion every single time, just like I will win every discussion with anybody who comes on to debate me or what have you. And we're looking forward to that. It does appear that there might be something wrong. I don't know if it's something specific with my account, but maybe something that is a problem that Cash App is having now. If you if you have a Cash App account and you're having issues there, it's not loading your history of transactions at the moment. If it's slow on that end or whatever it might be, let us know. Do let us know in the live chat. That's what I think is taking place. I do see from one that has come through from the great and historic, a gentleman that we'll definitely have to have on one of these conversations, Jared, and that's Slots. He financially gifted $2 on top of his tireless work, his absolutely tireless work, advocating for white well-being in the trenches of Twitter. But we also have, yes, I see that from Slot. He was just messaging, and
Slots is awesome and very active. Yeah, obviously, if it's anyone that was not on today, there's no rhyme or reason as to why the four gentlemen who were on today first, other than we just quickly got this show together. It's not to say that there's any priority where there's literally dozens of people doing amazing work here, and we love all of you. And anyone who wants to speak, I know it's a little nerve-wracking. I was very nervous the first several times I did streams, but if you want to speak, if you feel comfortable, then you're certainly welcome on when we do this. I'm also seeing in the chat, this is a great space, Jason. I just want to quickly say this. This could be a great space. There are a lot of young guys, especially, I'm sure girls too, who are very disenchanted, with the Marvel and Disney and the whole agenda being pushed in there. There's a whole hobby, as you know, and culture around watching these series or playing video games associated with the movie series and the comics. So there are definitely content creators who analyze that and break that down. They're passionate about, that's their subculture. So maybe people in that space as well. I'm noting one name that came up, but sounds like he has a very big following. So we'll try. But if he has 1 million, it might be better to get someone under 100,000. Might be a little more reasonable. But who knows? We do want to aim big. But keep sending me ideas. Anyway, I'll pass it back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. And let's jump on over to Entropy. And we do thank everybody who financially gifted today. It started with the great Yiz the Eunuch talking about champions that we'll have to have on one of these episodes. Financially gifting $3. Thank you, dear sister. And she writes, Matt Christensen will be on my Discordant Dragon stream Monday night. He's a good man.
Yeah, Yiz is a rock star. Look at that.
Talk about a rock star.
Beating us to the punch. I feel like if you ever watched wrestling, it's like all of a sudden there's this new wrestler, and within a month they're the champion. That's Yiz. She came out of nowhere and she put us in a headlock. She's got the belt. She's like, oh yeah, Matt Christensen, big audience. Guess what? Tap, I got him. Well, Yiz, awesome. You're amazing. I know you're going to have a great talk with him and represent this well, as you always do. And if you can, I know you're good at this, where appropriate, if you can recommend or suggest that we're open to speaking to him, we would definitely appreciate that.
Yes, indeed. She further writes, he's a good man, and I've followed him and Blonde for years. Spoken to them a few times, too. Nice to hear he might be on tap. And then she finishes with Kip. Keep it Promethean. Well, thank you, sweet sister, indeed, Kip. And he might end up on tap if you have to facilitate that. Amazing talk. Yeah, absolutely rock star. She walked onto the stage, and I knew it was going to be something because all the fireworks were going off. But we got bass guitarist over here as well, financially gifting $5 and working on a live stream platform for us. He writes here, Restream.io declined, he says, regrettably, our platform because we are so new. However, I have just discovered Prism Live Studio, which you can use in place of OBS Streamlabs, and you can restream to any platform for free, he says. Just FYI, maybe you can check it out. Well, we will check it out.
Prism, Prism.
Correct.
Yeah, this is good. See, this is what a crowdsourcing show is supposed to be. We're getting all kinds of ideas now. And if you guys like, I was saying in the chat before, if you like Luke Mason, Imminent Rain, classic metal shredding, the great songs that he's made for Going Free, check out Bass Guitarist. He's got some great chops, and maybe we'll see him collaborating with people. But he's got that classic metal shredding thing down. Go check out his channel. But again, look at the initiative. Also working on a live stream platform. This is how it happens, guys. This is everyone else is saying, "Oh, look at how bad it is. Look at all the hypocrisy out there in the news." This is actually how culture and lives are changed. This is happening.
I mean, talk about precisely. This is such a. It is the word that's coming to me, and it really. I could go back to different periods in my life and different scenarios where things had to be done. Military, law, the sports, and university, and business, of course. And when something had to be done, there was a workshop sort of a feel that everybody was coming together and they were saying, okay, I'm going to do this. And it wasn't just one person exhorting everyone else. They're just these endless exhortations that never galvanizes anybody. It instead is self-starters, centers of gravity that are stepping up to do whatever they can, whatever it might be, being bolstered by some, doing and some on their own, and making it happen. All of us coming together to carry our own weight and the weight of as many others as we can. This just does not happen. For everywhere else you go, you need to tell people about moments like this in service to white well-being, folks, about the excitement and energy that you had a bunch of folks coming together saying, well, I'm going to do this and we're going to do that. And they're actually doing things. It's not just a bunch of promises about things in the future. These are people in the midst of making things happen. So the proof is already there. It's another saying, the proof is in the pudding. It's already happening. So we know we're going to see more of that in the future. This just doesn't happen. You go into all of these other shows, all of these other streams, all of these other places, and you get just the doom documenting, the doom dissecting, the endless complaints, etc. Everybody looking to one or two people to do it all. What a team effort that we have here in service to white well-being that we have engendered, and we will continue to engender and move forward with every one of our shoulders into it. And we're going to keep it going until the end of this tap, until we tap out, and we're going to get a round of raucous emojis together for no other than No White Guilt Clips, another individual who has stepped up, making clips of the work that we are doing and then sharing them far and wide. There's No White Guilt Clips that shares, and then there is, who's the other one that's been really successfully clipping recently and bringing a lot of people. Who is it?
HB came back.
HB came back, and then there is.
We have No White Guilt Clips is the same thing as the Based Bollard account on BitChute, right? There are two.
I think that's right.
Two accounts where it's two different names, but it's the same person. But maybe there's another No White Guilt kind of clips thing. I mean, this is a good problem to have. We're starting to lose track of this, but this is good. And
right-wing universe.
Right-wing universe. I wasn't even aware. I have a suggestion. JK160 gave a suggestion of a guy I'll be checking out who's huge on TikTok as well. And hey, say what you will about TikTok, but if he has attention on him, and apparently he used the term anti-white narrative.
Yeah.
Guys, we need people who are getting attention, getting eyeballs on them in different ways, in different spheres, on different platforms. I don't care if you think it's an immature platform that only 12-year-olds use. I don't care if it's going to reach people and the person has something to say and they can comport themselves on our stream. We'll have them on our stream. It's outreach. This is what we need to do. And I thank you guys for giving the whole pop culture war thing. I'm getting some names from the chat about the guys that are disgruntled with comics and video games and Marvel and all that. Because if this makes sense, I am on the internet, but I'm not a creature of the internet. So you got to help me here. If you ever want to hear songs from me, because I know people are like, where's your next song, dude? You said about once a month. I know. I'm freaking out a little bit. But if you want to hear songs, I can't spend all day on the internet. So I need leverage, and you guys are helping. So thank you. Keep sending me names.
And you're talking about JK160. One of the reasons why some of these people, and maybe that one guy in particular on TikTok, ends up saying anti-white narrative is because people like JK160 is going into their chats and saying, hey, you're doing a great job, but you know what? You can be even better if you just say this, because this is what's going on. And then the people end up saying it. So big applause to JK160 and whoever else out there is doing it. But those applause for No White Guilt clips have to continue, because he financially gifted $100 to White Wellbeing, and
thank you.
Suggestions for guests, a whole slew of them. Sinatra Says, Academic Agent, the Sweden report. There are a bunch here. Thank you so very much, and we'll make sure that we get all of these names down the quartering. Scott Greer, I personally know, and Alternative Hypothesis. Many. So thank you so much for every single one of these suggestions. So dug into the bag there and pulled out a bunch of potential guests that we could bring on.
Yeah. So send that to me. I'm going to put it in our document, our super secret TAP brainstorming document. And also, people are saying in the chat, I think what I was thinking of before with I think this is the same guy as No White Guilt Clips is Alternative Voices Portal. That's what I was thinking of on BitChute.
Oh, Alternative Voices.
That's the same guy, right? Alternative Voices and No White Guilt Clips, same guy, right? Am I correct in saying that?
Well, I guess they'll let us know if that's the case.
I guess I'll embarrass myself now. I've said I can't unsay it. The internet is forever. So I apologize if I offended someone, but let me know.
All right. Yeah, it looks like Cash App is definitely malfunctioning. So if you're having that issue, let me know. But it definitely appears to be malfunctioning for me. But we'll keep rolling over here on Entropy. We have Mr. Bloom, the great Mr. Bloom is with us, and he writes with $10 financial gift. Thank you so much, brother. He writes, Promethean hails, both of you. The days just fly by. Cannot wait for the summer. Warm weather, bright sky, and with my great friend, Richard Wagner, I will be spreading the message of white well-being with some wonderful leaflets in some very white suburbs. Well, God bless the both of you champions. They came in at the same time. They're great friends. They're doing magnificent work, real champions in service to white well-being, and we applaud you both. He's back again with another $10 financial gift right above that. Thank you so much, Mr. Bloom. $10 more. He writes here, I should hopefully have some new guests for you too. I have friends all over the Groyper circles who make some great content. The Groypers really are a great bunch, young, enthusiastic, and great advocates for white well-being. I have spoken to many of them about the lexicon, and every single one has been a success. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Bloom. That is magnificent, and we will happily engage with them and get them pointed in the right, because it's it's so important when you're going to get your I know exactly what Mr. George is about to say, folks. When you're going to get your message, you might only get in front of somebody one time. In fact, that's probably what's going to end up happening. You'll be able to speak to that person who needs to hear from you just once. What are you going to give them? Is it just going to be some snark about the anti-whites, or is it going to be something that will actually empower them so that they can move forward in their lives? Think of that wonderful, we'll just say person who was working out in that Santa Barbara area, and now not only all of the leaflets and the personal face-to-face conversations that that person had, but then that made its way onto the news. And they talked about it on television. It was written up, and they used the verbiage anti-white and anti-whiteism. They even told people nowhiteguilt.org. Why? Because that wonderful person was using the verbiage and telling people nowhiteguilt.org. That is how we change things, not a snarky comment that makes somebody laugh for a moment and then they never hear from you again. But to change their life, that is something that is truly magical, and you have the power now to be able to do that. I want to thank everybody who financially gifted over the course of this TAP episode. God bless you all. Everybody who commented over the course of the stream, who participated, everybody who's excited now, whether in live or in replay, wallflowers or not. Whatever you're up to, we are glad that you are here. If you're new, we welcome you. We know that there are going to be a bunch of new people, especially since so many new people reached out to me after being on with Jeffrey Doherty. So we want to thank all of you and welcome all of you who are here with us live or in replay as well. As you can see, this is nothing like you thought it would be. We are not like the anti-white narrative whatsoever. And you have to ask yourself, why did the anti-whites endeavor so hard to keep you away from those who love you, your children, our vulnerable members, and want to preserve and protect Western civilization for all peoples who are good at heart, of all races, of all immutable characteristics, and who want to participate in and contribute to this great civilization of ours, the civilization, Western civilization that we create because it exists inside of Western kind. I also want to thank those three magnificent moderators, Ray, Roy, and Brant, who were with us today, not only in the chat, protecting us from things like the people coming in and posing. Look at what we have to put up with. It's endless, folks. Mr. George and I rarely talk about it, unlike a lot of other content creators, about the endless attacks on us. And we just move through it as we always do. Start new platforms, and we had a disruptor show up today, perfectly resembling a venerated member of this community who is very active in service to white well-being, insulting people in the live chat, completely looking out of place, and of course was identified and removed by our intrepid moderators. And so a big thank you to all of you for your efforts. We're not going to let the anti-whites, whatever they call themselves, we really don't care. We're not going to let them undermine the good work that we're doing in service to white well-being. And to really top off this magnificent Sunday with its cherry right on top on this Saturday, I'm going to share with all of you and Mr. George live that we were carved into Mount Rushmore by Arcade Outpost. And he made this beautiful, he repelled, I tell folks, and he carved us in. He got rid of two other faces that were there. I think they weren't as important. And he chiseled our mugs right into, talking about mugs, right into the side of the mountain there. And on the inside, of course, is the Hall of Heroes, where all of your names are kept. Mr. George, there we are, immortalized for all time by Arcade.
Yes,
final thoughts.
That's where we have the secret meetings behind the rock right there. Well, let me first say thank you to everyone, because there were only about 4 name suggestions for the first 2/3 of the show and there's been a whole slew that have poured through. So Jason and I will have a bunch to look through, and we really thank you. And if you're listening in replay, of course, please put in the comments. For everyone, but especially those new people, like Jason said, after his outstanding talk with Jeffrey Doherty. In fact, Jason, one of the gentlemen who was suggested, someone in the chat is saying, might have been friends with or used to work with Jeffrey. So maybe you can even, if you're still in touch with Jeffrey, ask him about this name I have here. We'll talk about that later. But obviously, there's a lot of positive, bright days ahead. So you see what we're doing. You see the direction people are going in. You've heard from 4 people in our community today about what they're doing in their lives locally, right around them, or how their own personal lives have made dramatic improvements, changes. Very touching to hear some of what's gone on today. And I thank you all for joining. And I thank our guests, Jerome, Brant, Roi, and Ray. It was wonderful to speak to all of you. Let me just say, continue what I was saying a moment ago. If you are new, especially from the recent show, the Doherty show that Jason did, or anywhere else, all of these shows are archived for posterity on the afterparty.tv. So we tried to make this very easy to search past episodes. Jason and I have between us well over 3 years now of online material. That website is mainly an archive for this show and for the Going Free show that Jason does on Sundays, sometimes with an extra show in the week if he does a shorter one on something topical. But there is other material. There's community-generated material. There's music. As Roi said, there used to be a show where Jason would play some music on Friday nights, and all those are still there if you want to go enjoy music and go find artists. There's some comedy sketches. There's one-off videos. There's clips, and there's appearances Jason and I have made when we were guests on other shows, whether it was together or apart, one of us individually on another person's show. And they're pretty well documented. You go in, you search a name if you're curious if someone's been on, or you search a topic. All the shows are pretty well tagged. They're not embedded via YouTube or any other social media when you watch it. Right? Of course, there are links to the YouTube appearance, but if you just click the embedded video right there and play it on the site, it's not pulling from any social media platform. We try to make it as robust as we can be. So go check that out. Please do bookmark our individual sites, but also the afterparty.tv. Sign up to the mailing list. We really don't send out a lot of mailings. It's mainly there just in case there was an emergency and we needed to contact people if we were kicked off of all social media. But on our own sites, you can get our social media. Follow us there. Doesn't hurt. While we're on social media, might as well be in all the places we can be. My own site is thegreatorder.com. That's the archive of all that I do. I do this show with Jason. I do Learning in Public, more of a salon-style stream, free-flowing conversation with John Bruce Leonard, author and editor. All kinds of other projects as well, creative projects mainly. I'm really mainly an artist, and well, not visual artist, musical artist, a little bit of writing poems. And speaking of which, we have WPQ, issue 4, White People's Quarterly. We have some great stuff in here. Please order this from the White People's Press. That's whitepeoplepress.com. There's no S in the URL, whitepeoplepress.com. But for myself, I'll just briefly say there's an article on the folk book that I mentioned before, the coffee table book I helped put together last year. Jason and I both have pieces in it, but it is a beautiful visual document, and it has essays from 10 different people around the world, around the Western world, about what it means to be a people. Actually, mine's not an essay, it's a story, as I mentioned earlier, if you've been listening to the whole stream. And there's also, Jason helped put together, it was with Althea, right? It was all...
and Final Blossom.
And Final Blossom, that we're aware of at least. We know there's more of that Hall of Heroes. See, it's a first draft of what's going to be carved into that Hall of Heroes behind the stone structures on Mount Rushmore. But all the people who are here, like the 4 that we spoke to today, that are doing all kinds of work. I also have a poem called King in that issue as well. One more thing, get yourself some Delftware. If you were listening to the whole show today, you'll know what I mean. Other than that, Jason, take it away. Oh, and I will say, people mentioned the Groypers and MAGA. If you missed it in the beginning, look out for announcements this week. But unless something changes in the schedule, we will have 2 young guys from the MAGA Groyper scene next Friday on tap. So you see, it's already happening. The outreach is already happening. The circles are already expanding. This is how it's done. But we thank all of you and love all of you. Jason.
Amen to every single word you said. This was a magnificent tap, folks. I want to keep this enthusiasm going all the way through the Sunday Going Free tomorrow. Find something to do for White Wellbeing. between now and then, even if it's just on yourself. Get motivated, get started, make a difference in the world, so that when you go free, we all can go free of the mean pathogens that we have been infected with, and go free of this anti-white narrative. And folks, we will recapture our destiny. I look forward to seeing every single one of you again